Welcome to the show. President Trump has called hydroxychloroquine a game changer in the battle against the coronavirus. Sunday night, the FDA approved the use of the anti-malaria drug to treat COVID-19.
While clinical trials begin today, one Florida man says he's alive because of the hydroxychloroquine treatment he received last week. CBN News' George Thomas has his story.
Okay, I'm here with my ride or die. They're coming home.
With his wife beside him, Rio Giardineri drove home late Tuesday night from a hospital in South Florida, calling his survival of COVID-19 nothing short of a miracle.
You go from what you feel is death's bed to feeling great in 10 hours. To me, call it what you will, but to me, I'll call it a miracle.
The Florida-based businessman thinks he got infected with the coronavirus about 2 weeks ago while attending a conference in New York. Last Friday evening, after 9 days of running a high fever, severe cough, and body aches, doctors told the 52-year-old that there was nothing more they could do to help him.
I didn't think I'd see Saturday morning. Made phone calls to family and friends to say my goodbyes. And yeah, very much so thought it was my last day on earth.
That evening, a close friend of 43 years told him about hydroxychloroquine, the anti-malaria drug that's had some success in treating COVID-19 patients overseas.
At that point, I'd never even heard of the medicine before. Hydroxychloroquine was totally alien to me.
Giardineri consulted with an infectious disease doctor who told him there isn't sufficient clinical studies to prove the drug's effectiveness in combating the virus.
My statement to him was simply, I don't think I'll be here in the morning, so I'm willing to try anything.
Late Friday evening, doctors at Memorial Regional Hospital in South Florida started him on a course of hydroxychloroquine.
And I woke up at 4:45 in the morning, looking right at the clock, and it dawned on me that all of a sudden I could breathe. I was pretty amazed, and I knew that I didn't have a fever. I didn't feel it anymore.
He was discharged 3 days later.
Made it out, escaped from Alcatraz, heading home to start my segregation.
CBN News spoke to him Wednesday afternoon as he started his quarantine.
I'm not a scientist. I'm not a doctor. And I don't have any scientific facts to back it up. I can only tell you I went to sleep in major pain with a fever for 9 days that wouldn't shake. And when I woke up at 4:45 in the morning, I was feeling great. I mean, to the point that I felt I could have gone out in the boat.
Infectious disease experts are trying an array of therapeutic options for fighting COVID-19.
And what we're finding is there's a bunch of different medications, one of which being the chloroquine that a lot of people have been talking about, that seems to have some effect on this virus and has been used in the past.
In New York, the epicenter of America's coronavirus outbreak, hospitals started clinical trials with hydroxychloroquine this week in combination with the commonly used Z-Pak.
We have secured 70,000 hydrochloroquine, 10,000 Zithromax from the federal government. I want to thank the FDA for moving very expeditiously to get us this supply.
George Thomas, CBN News.
Well, we await the results of those trials, and hopefully this will work. This combination of a Z-Pak along with this quinine can actually make a huge difference. And I hope and I pray that it does. Quinine's been around for centuries. The Quechua Indians down in Peru and Ecuador were the first ones to get it out of a tree bark, and they mixed it with water, and that was our first sort of tonic water. The Jesuits noticed them using it, noticed that it was good for some things, didn't yet figure out it was good against malaria, and they're the ones that brought it back to Europe. And from there, it made a huge difference in the rate of malaria infections. And so tonic water became the water of the British Empire. And they took it around the world in order to protect Europeans from malaria. And it just goes to show there are natural remedies for things. God has placed these remedies at our literally our beck and call, whether it's aspirin that also comes from tree bark, or quinine, which originally came to us from tree bark. How do you get these things, and how do you get these ideas? Well, God is the source of all ideas. Realize that. And when you realize that He has an infinite source of new ideas, and you can call to Him and get an answer. Here's a scripture for you. I call it God's phone number. It's Jeremiah 33:3. You can count on this. Call to me, and I will answer you and show you great and mighty things which you do not know. And that's the key. You don't know these things, but God can show them to you. Realize this is the scripture that Daniel used to interpret the dream of the king of Babylon. Here is the king. He's got this horrible dream, and he won't tell his counselors what's the dream about, because he says, well, then I won't believe you on the interpretation. You need to first tell me my dream. That way I know you're really hearing something. And so Daniel took that and he prayed overnight, and God gave him the answer. So for you, looking at an uncertain future, how am I going to be employed? How am I going to provide for family? How am I going to make it through this horrible virus? How am I going to do anything? Call to Him, and He will answer you and show you great and mighty things. If you're in the medical profession, call to Him. Ask for solutions, ask for answers. Let's make sure we have peer-reviewed results. Let's make sure everything is properly tested and we come up with a cure for this. Hopefully we can come up with an inoculation for it. And that way we can all rest easy that this disease is not going to come near us. We need ideas, we need creativity, and let's realize the source, the I am who I am, the one who is the source of everything. Let's come to Him now and say, God, we don't know how to make it through this, but you do. Could you show us great and mighty things?